Welcome class to your last weekly breakdown. I'm going to go over this upcoming week and then your review week and final project and exams. So we'll just jump into this week coming up. So on the Monday, I'm going to put out your final exam review and your final project. We're going to skim through both of them at the end of the weekly breakdown here, just so you have an idea of what to do. Tuesday is your Unit 3 test, so if you don't want to work on those on Monday, you can study for them. You had Thursday and Friday as designated review periods, but again, if you want to prepare, keep doing that. So after Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are all dedicated to working on your final project. Your final project's split into 3 sections. I think if you micromanage it and do a section per day, it's going to be a lot less tedious. So, even if you break it up, let's say, I think Wednesday, you can do part A pretty quick. Thursday, let's say you split up the paper into 1 and 2, and then you come back Monday, you do a little bit of section C. Tuesday, you find all the touches, and then you're just laughing until the last little bit. So that's next week. Pretty simple, pretty plain the big thing. Make sure you get your Unit 3 test done. Then for review week, so I will be putting out Unit 1 and Unit 2 review videos where I go through the exam review, take up the answers, and then give you some just some elaboration on all the answers and thoughts that we've gone over. Unit 3, I'm not going to do a review video just because we have done it so recently. I mean, you're going to have finished your last test on Unit 3 a week prior, so I don't think you really need a video for it. But I will put all the materials, like notes from the whole year up, just because I know as kind of going home early, you might have lost track of some stuff. That's bound to happen. So if you're missing anything, send me a message. I'll direct you where to find it. The same day that I put up all that stuff, I'm going to try and make sure I organize our Jupiter materials page, and then everything's up there. So if I'm not on that, just send me a message. I'll give you whatever you need if I'm missing something. Your final project will be due Friday, May 15th, so the end of the review week at 5 p.m. Eastern. I can't stress that enough. You need to understand that for both the exam and the final project, 5 p.m. is your deadline for those days. So again, like I say, it's something where you could be easily done this project working on your reviews, and I know you have other classes, so it's easy to say right now, work on that, and that. But really, if you do micromanage it a little bit in those weeks leading up, you'll have enough time to finish it. And then your exam, we have the last exam day, so the Friday, May 22nd. So how it works with the exams is they will come out a day ahead of their scheduled day for the people who have varying time. It's just a time zone compensation thing. So we're also going to leave them open a day. So that for our exam, it'll come out Thursday, May 21st at 5 p.m. Yeah, at 5 p.m. And then on the Saturday, so May 22nd, it's going to close at 5 p.m. as well. So again, keep that 5 p.m. Eastern, our time of the school, in your mind. So that's how your next few weeks are going to look. I want to mention right now, it did say this in the syllabus, and I've reiterated it to you guys before, that the final project and the exam have to add up to 30%. At the beginning of the course, I had it split 20-10 for the exam being 20 and the final project being 10. I think because this project might take you a little longer, again, there's components to it you've already done, so you can backtrack on them. We'll go over that in a second. But just because it will be a more time consuming, I think the application of it is just as valuable as the knowledge you'll see on the exam. So I'm going to split it 15-15. Personally, if it was me in high school or any point, I always preferred papers and assignments over exams, just more preparation in them and less more clarity as well too, right? There's always those couple questions that teachers sneak in there that you don't know where they came from. They weren't in the review. So I'm going to be putting it 15 and 15. And I'm not saying I'm going to do that. You guys read your review. But yeah, that's how we're going to get to the end of the semester. So make sure you have these days. They're all in Jupiter, but you have essentially three more things. The Unit 3 test, I'm kind of assuming at this point you're already prepared for it because you write it tomorrow. But yeah, that's how we're gonna get to the home stretch. So now we'll just take a quick glance at your final project. Look at your final project here. So it's split into 3 different sections. So again, due May 15th, 5 p.m. Eastern. So for this paper, you're gonna calculate your daily caloric expenditure. We did this as a project previously, so if you wanna use your table from that, that's fine. Calculate how many grams of fat, carbohydrates, and protein per day you would need, and then determine a daily meal plan that fits your macronutrient needs. So we did something similar to this. I think we did it all strictly based on percentage. Now you're gonna do a little bit slightly different, not too different. I'll explain that in a second. So first, the order of the paper. So title page, put your calculations in, then the 2-page summary. So this is where you're gonna go over how many carbs, fats, and protein you need in a grams basis. And then you're gonna design a 1-day meal plan. So I'll go over the criteria of these 3 things in a second. And then your reference page. It's pretty simplistic in that sense in terms of order. Title page, make sure you have all those variables in there. You guys are pretty good with that. I don't think I need to waste my time there. So you probably remember this, or I hope you remember this from earlier in the year. So you're gonna want to slide this over a bit here. Oh, it's just kind of off. Sorry. There we go. Not actually the projector. So you're gonna want to start by breaking up your day into various activities. I want you to pretend it's a regular school day where you have hockey, you have class, all that stuff. Obviously, you're sitting at home right now. I mean, we all are, which is a good thing, but it's not going to serve the purpose of the experiment. So don't just write sitting at home for 24 hours a day, or 16 and then sleeping 8. So break up your day into activities, then calculate or research how many you burn per hour. Then you're going to have to times these 2 together to get the total calories from that activity for your day. Add up all of those, and that's your daily calorie expenditure. So send me a message if you have a problem with this. We've done it before, so I want you to look back at that. But it's saying that make sure that any numbers that you take or have taken get referenced as well, right? I know you didn't know those numbers coming up. Some of them we had in our notes, so you can use those ones. But if you're researching them, you need to reference them. So then once you've totaled your calorie expenditure, the amount you need in a day, I want you to then write a 2-page summary. So it's going to be an introduction, a protein, carb, fat analysis, then a conclusion. Truth be told, guys, with these 3 things, I don't actually care if they're in that order. As long as there's an intro, 3 paragraphs about your macros, and then a reference, that's fine. So again, it doesn't have to be that order if you want to do it, just for simplicity. So I put protein first though, because typically protein's figured out based off of your weight. So if you figure out your protein, then you can start to figure out what everything else is in percentages or grams basis as well. You can do it however you want. That's kind of the application part of this assignment, is I want you to defend why you found, or defend why you determined, I should say, what you researched and discovered, determined to be an appropriate grams basis per day. So, 2 pairs. Yeah. So again, just make sure you follow that format and provide a rhyme or reason. You know, I based it off of having this much of my calories, doing a percentage. I did it based off of my weight. I did it based off of my age. I don't really care. As long as 1, you're stating where you got it, and 2, your total calories, when you add them all up, should be relatively close to your caloric expenditure. If you're positive 200 or negative 200 calories, that's okay. If you're a little over more than that, I want you to kind of dial it in with what you should have on a daily basis, okay? And then once you've determined those, I just want you to make a random meal plan that has 5 foods in it. So doesn't matter if it's, you know, a breakfast, 2 snacks, and then lunch and supper, or if it's no breakfast, lunch, supper, a bunch of snacks and dessert. As long as there's 5 different things actually put in, I don't care if they're high calorie or whatever, okay? So what you're gonna do here is put in the food. So let's say it was, I don't know, we'll do a donut. So we'll put 10 grams of fat, 20 grams of carb, maybe 1 protein. So then we'll calculate how many calories that adds up to. And then this total should be relatively close to your daily caloric expenditure. And these totals should be close to what you hypothesized or determined in your paper. So what I've written down here at the bottom is just, I kind of broke down how I did it. When you're writing it, you only need to write, I determined 44 grams of fat a day. I determined 250 grams of carbs, protein. You only need to write the highlighted stuff. I wrote this little extra stuff just to kind of explain to you, this guy's expenditure is 2,000, so he needs this because it's 30% or 600 of his calories, so on and so forth. It's just an example. Again, you can take it based on weight, height, age, all those. And then lastly, reference. So at minimum, throughout the whole paper, you should have used 4 APA references. I'm thinking it might be more than that, but I'm just setting a low minimum. Yeah, and I'll reiterate some referencing things. Make sure the references show up on the reference page and in the in-text where you're applying that information that you borrowed. As well, make sure your reference page is alphabetical, right? It's not in order of I use this reference first, this is second. In terms of APA formatting, it's alphabetical, right? The author's name is this. I go alphabetically. Let's say it was, I don't know, Waldo. So, okay, Waldo 2020. Scan down. Right at the end of the list, Waldo 2020. There's a reference. Nice and simple. We'll go over your breakdown of where your grading is going to come from. So appearance and organization. So is everything labeled properly? Is it spaced out right? Does it flow neatly? Do you have half of a section on one page and the other half on another? Are things labeled if you use the data or any charts? Do you have both of these pieces of, or these charts in? I put it as data because I am going to be looking at, you know, if you wrote that you burn 6,000 calories in a day, I'm probably going to knock you some more marks on data, right? But if you're like 500 or something over, that'll be fine. Again, with those calorie expenditures, they typically overcompensate how many calories you actually burn. So if you're a little over, don't worry about that. Spelling and punctuation, grammar, pretty straightforward. Components of the report, again, very simplistic. I'm going to be just checking that they're there, and then throughout them I'll apply those other things, right, as they're good mechanics, good sourcing. But you get points for just having those sections actually there, right? References, so are they in proper format? Do you have 4 of them? Are they in APA? Is everything alphabetized? And then scientific concepts. So this is going to be specifically applied to your paper. So when you're saying I need this much fats, this much carbs, and this much protein, that's where I'm going to be really kind of analyzing your scientific concepts. That's your final project. Like I say, it's 15% of your grade, so you're going to want to spend some time on it. And then the other 15% of your grade is going to come from your exam. So your exam review, I'm just going to skim through it right now. Like I said, I'm going to do the unit reviews. So unit 1 and 2, I'll give out the answers to. And then unit 3, you're kind of stuck on your own for because it's recent and you should have everything for it. So the format is just some definitions and then your practice questions. Again, I said this to my science class as well. It's definitely a little longer than probably some of the questions you'll see. Like you might have a question about what are the 4 types of fat, and then you might only have a handful of multiple choice questions, maybe 4 multiple choice questions on them, right? But you had a couple questions in the review on them, so I like to over prepare for the exams and give you guys more questions, so that way there's no, well, that wasn't on the review. Well, it was, you just maybe didn't finish the review. So that's the end of the year, guys. So the next time you'll see me, I'll be doing your Unit 1 reviews. So, best of luck.